Soccer fans flocked to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar bearing flags to cheer their teams. But some told Reuters that their banners and messages were banned, all depending on the politics. Palestinian fans said they were pleasantly surprised to find their symbols welcomed.
In a different country, maybe someone would hesitate to carry the Palestinian flag during such an occasion, the World Cup, an international or historic or sporting event. But here it is the first World Cup where we see on TV and everywhere that there is a welcoming attitude toward the Palestinians here.
But Mideast politics are tangled, and there was no similar courtesy to those seeking to show solidarity with protesters in Iran. Following the Iranian team's defeat against the U.S. Wednesday, Reuters journalists saw guards chase men in activist shirts through the stadium precinct, tackling one to the ground as he screamed the cry of Iran's anti-government protesters, "Women, life, freedom." Farshad was an eyewitness to the incident.
He had a shirt on his hand with a slogan of "Woman, life, freedom," and then he chanted "Woman, life, freedom," which the security or police or whatever you call them, we have same issue in Iran. They can't even let people have the basic right or express themselves. And then they pinned him, the guy down and took his shirt away. They tried, but he resisted, and then he took him away.
According to an email from FIFA's Human Rights Department shared with Reuters, the Soccer Association told fans who complained about treatment at earlier Iran matches that "Women, Life, Freedom," or the name or portrait of Mahsa Amini, the woman whose death in Iranian police custody sparked the unrest, are allowed in stadiums. But this seemed potentially at odds with a FIFA Qatar World Cup Stadium Code of Conduct prohibiting banners, flags, flyers, apparel, and other paraphernalia of a political, offensive, and/or discriminatory nature. A FIFA spokesperson said it was aware of some incidents where permitted items were not allowed to be displayed at stadiums, and continued to work closely with Qatar to ensure full implementation of regulations.
Kyiv schools are facing a monumental task. How will they keep their 190,000 remaining students in class? Whether it's online or in person, the children are expected to attend classes through missile strikes and power cuts. Fourth grader Daria Kosova says she wishes there was no war whatsoever. She's terrified of the air raid sirens, but still wants to attend class in person. There's more opportunity to study like regular children, she says. Schools, like nearly all buildings in the capital, are experiencing power cuts from Russia's missile barrages on its power grid, a regular occurrence since October. Some students have been forced to attend online classes due to a citywide shortfall of school bomb shelters. City officials are insistent that students will be able to finish the semester, which ends on December 23rd. Yaroslav Pali is the co-owner of the school. He says he's committed to keeping the school open, no matter the circumstances. 2 generators have been purchased to help keep the kitchen running and feed the students through power disruptions. 85% of Kyiv's pre-war school staff remain in the city, compared to 60% of students. Many children have relocated to safer regions or abroad. But the wider situation is bleak. Nearly half of Ukraine's power grid has been wrecked by Moscow, and Ukraine says it expects further attacks.
The Trump Organization reaped substantial benefits from a 15-year tax fraud scheme. That's what the prosecution said Friday in closing arguments at the trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump's real estate company. Joshua Steinglass from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office told jurors that the scheme helped Trump's company keep salaries down, avoid taxes, and keep executives happy. Prosecutors alleged the Trump Organization paid personal expenses for some executives without reporting the income and compensating them as if they were independent contractors. The Trump Organization has pleaded not guilty. Trump was not personally charged. In its defense, the company has said the government's chief witness, a Trump Organization executive, was a rogue executive acting for himself. The company's longtime chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, has pleaded guilty to tax fraud and testified for the prosecution. If convicted on all 9 counts it faces, Trump's company could face up to $1.6 million in fines. Jury deliberations are expected to begin Monday. Trump has called the charges politically motivated. The case is separate from New York Attorney General Letitia James' $250 million civil lawsuit accusing Trump, 3 of his adult children, and his company of overstating asset values and Trump's net worth to get favorable bank loans and insurance coverage.
Leaders of South Africa's ruling African National Congress delayed a decision on Friday as to whether President Cyril Ramaphosa should stay on. Ramaphosa is under scrutiny over so-called Farmgate, an incident that centers around an estimated $4 million that was stolen from his farm in 2020. It raised questions about how the president, who took power on a promise of fighting corruption, acquired the cash and whether he declared it. Paul Mashatile is the ANC Treasurer General.
The mood was that there is a sense of urgency that we should resolve these issues so that we can go on with the responsibilities of running the country.
Meanwhile, Ramaphosa's allies rallied around him Friday, with the country's finance minister telling Reuters he thought Ramaphosa should stay on and defend himself. Ramaphosa, who did not attend Friday's meeting, has denied any wrongdoing and has not been charged with any crime. He has said the money was the proceeds of game sales at the farm. Mashatile says ANC officials would be looking to meet soon with Ramaphosa.
He's busy consulting, and so as far as we are concerned, the issue of the president putting his intention to resign or not did not arise. It's only now that the officials are going to be meeting with him, probably by tomorrow if he's back from Cape Town.
He also says the National Executive Committee would reconvene before December 6th to discuss further.
U.S. stocks rebounded to close almost where they opened on Friday, clawing back earlier losses after a stronger-than-expected jobs report for November raised questions over how soon the Federal Reserve could slow and eventually stop its aggressive interest rate hikes. The Dow finished in the green, rising 0.1%, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ both ended down fractionally. The Labor Department's payrolls report showed employers added 263,000 jobs last month and that wage growth accelerated. That disappointed investors who wanted a softer number to spur the Fed to scale back its interest rate hikes, says George Cipollone, portfolio manager at Penn Mutual Asset Management.
I think investors were right to be spooked in the beginning. I think that wage growth component of the number that came out today it calls into question how fast the Fed can kind of back off. And so if the market expectations shift back in the other way and they convince themselves that the Fed will back off, then yes, absolutely, stocks can rally from here.
Shares of growth and technology companies, including Apple, Google parent Alphabet, and Amazon, were pressured by concerns over rising rates. Shares of Ford Motor declined on lower vehicle sales in November, while shares of food delivery firm DoorDash fell after a downgrade from RBC. But U.S.-listed shares of Chinese companies Alibaba and JD.com jumped on hopes the country would relax its strict health crisis restrictions.